Do you ever have that experience where you know that you know how to do something, but your brain seems to have disconnected from that knowledge temporarily? For some reason, this particular painting is one that I am finding quite challenging. I went into it more timidly than my last two pet portraits. I'd like to say that I made a conscious decision to try imprimatura. Alas, that is not the case. Although, looking back at this footage of this part of the painting, I admit that I would like to try imprimatura on a conscious level and map out my darks and my lights before adding color. I might find that I have more success if I do it on purpose. This is Charlie, and he is adorable. I cannot even with his cute face. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna, and here I do art videos and art vlogs. I'm very glad you're here. I am still figuring out how I want to lay out my palette. Having two paintings going at once is making keeping my colors organized a bit more challenging. I'm a super organized person, and I'm finding that oil painting isn't always super organized. I often have a mess on my palette, and I'm afraid of wasting paint. So I'm having to override the fear of wasting paint and allow myself to scrape unusable paint off and tidy it up so I can relax and enjoy painting. In figuring out my oil painting process, I spend a lot of time overriding my first impulses and teaching myself that it's okay not to do things perfectly or to have perfect systems in place before I can paint. The only way to figure out what works for me, though, is to keep doing it and make those discoveries. I only seem to have time for this little painting on random Sundays. If you missed my last video, this is a master study of the painting Mancha by Diana R. Lodge. I can't find anything much about it online. I have the painting in a little book I got as a child, and I've always loved it. So I decided I wanted to paint it. After mixing some warmer grays, as the ones I used in my first session were too cool, I went into the painting trying to be more loose than I usually am. My intention was never to capture an exact copy of the original, but rather to learn from the lighting, the brushstrokes, and the mood. I want to capture the essence of it. The grass is so far my favorite part, especially the shadow beneath Mancha. Painting grass is something that's always felt really difficult, but looking at her very loose, wet brushstrokes and trying to some degree imitate them was not only a great learning experience, but it was also a lot of fun. And I really think that the effect that Diana captured and that I'm doing my best to capture is really beautiful. To see me finish Mancha in an upcoming video, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Thank you! As art is increasingly becoming my career focus, or at least certain aspects of my art, I find the importance of my other hobbies to be growing. Taking time to prioritize more than one thing that brings me joy is, I think, very good for my mental health, and I would encourage everybody to find hobbies that make them happy. I have over 80 houseplants, and I love them. This is a hobby I started getting into probably just a little over half a decade ago. For some years, though, like recently, I kind of just did the bare minimum to take care of them, and this year I have stepped up my game, and honestly, I found a lot of joy in it. I inherited this Easter cactus from my aunt's mother, who sadly passed away recently. The pot that this plant was in was a little bit too big for her, and the soil was holding a lot more moisture than I felt comfortable with. So I moved her to terracotta, and I think she'll be a little bit happier. I've called her Carol, after her previous person. Not just assuming that everyone here is an artist, what hobbies do you guys have that you enjoy doing, or what hobbies do you think you might like to try? Let me know in the comments. I've been in a mood lately of feeling a bit intimidated and overwhelmed about my art, and I'm overthinking things, my art and my channel and life in general. It's nothing terrible, and I think it's normal for any kind of artist or creative person to have stages of thinking like this. Often I think the anxiety indicates growth, and I try to remember that and work my way through it. Despite the anxiety, I'm really excited about painting. I think about it all the time, and it's giving me a lot of joy. So I'm doing my best to not let myself get stuck in the anxious thoughts and instead approach my art and life in general with a more problem-solving attitude. With this painting, I realized I wasn't using enough paint, and I was laying down very thin layers out of fear because his beautiful white hairs from his old age make really subtle changes in the values and hues of his coat, and I feel really nervous about getting that right. And when painting someone's beloved pet, I want very, very much to get it right. Still, this approach is not the answer. And watching back the footage, I'm really realizing how thin I was applying my layers. I've been researching when to use thick versus thin paint, and it was addressed a tiny bit in an oil painting class I'm taking. I did some research and found an excellent video on the topic to kind of broaden my understanding, and it answered a lot of my questions. I will link that down below. So thinner paint should be used in the darker areas and thicker paint in the light areas. This creates the illusion of depth and light. It's the opposite with watercolor, by the way. Thin paint in the light areas and thick in the dark areas. So for my next session with Charlie, I'm going to be a lot bolder and I'm going to use more paint. If you want to see that, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and let me know what you liked about it. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!